The regulars of the channel here at Marble Snap Zone will know I've always considered myself to be a bit of a deck builder more than I have a professional level player. I enjoy the puzzle of card games and trying to crack meta games to let people and myself attack them from a perspective that maybe other players aren't considering. And today, I think I can honestly say for the first time that I've put together a deck list that I truly believe can be a real metagame contender. But don't just take my word for it. We played this deck list on stream on Wednesday night to a really high success rate, a 75% win rate over the course of 180 minutes. But it wasn't just me. So many people picked up the deck because I shared it on my social media channels over on Twitter and the like, and I had DMs and comments pouring in about similar stories. Many people reaching highest ranks ever with over 80% win rates. People finding the deck to be some of the most fun they've had in Marble Snap in a long time. In fact, even some of your favorite content creators were agreeing that the deck felt very promising, and that's all I could ever ask for with a deck. So today, I'm going to do a slightly different style of video for you and walk you through exactly how we got to the deck list I've built here and why I think it's so good, with a dedicated card by card to help you learn how to play it in a lot more detail than we normally would. If that's not of interest to you, don't panic. I'm still going to show you plenty of gameplay. I'm going to pop a time code for you down below you can skip straight to if all you care is about watching games with this deck and trying to learn it yourself. And of course, if you want more gameplay, there is a whole VOD to go check out from Wednesday night as well, where we played this deck for a very, very long time. So what deck am I talking about? Let me introduce you to Bast Patriot Surfer. Now, this is an archetype that has been kind of toyed around with in the past. Patriot Surfer, a deck that was arguably quite popular before the nerf to Silver Surfer and has largely fallen by the wayside and been left underexplored. But this list is quite different than the ones we've played in the past, and it's an amalgamation of ideas that I've been working on in the background alongside many other Marble Snap Zone content creators. Let me break this one down for you in detail. First of all, we've got Wasp. Wasp is probably the most innocuous card in this deck all around. It doesn't seem like it's particularly impactful, but it secretly kind of works with everything that we're trying to do. You're often going to hold this card until the very end of the game to give yourself some surprise stats, because it can be buffed by your Patriot and your Mystique. That means that it's basically always in your hand when it comes time to play Bast, meaning it can often just be a 3 power, 0 cost card without any downside whatsoever. Last but not least, it plays exceptionally well with Valkyrie in this deck, allowing us to get extra bodies into a lane our opponent thinks we might not be able to contest and really steal some of those big 8-cube games off the back of that powerful combination. Next up, we have Bast, and sadly, this one I don't think is replaceable for this deck right now. It's a question I get pretty commonly, I should say, for folks that are looking to try this one out. Bast is a real powerhouse in this shell. It works great with so many of the cards you're looking to play, which some people find a little confusing, because we actually have 2 cards in this deck that have 4 power to start. The truth is, Mysterio works very well with Bast, as it actually applies its bonus to all of the illusions as well, meaning that secretly you are buffing your Mysterio instead of knocking it down a power, and Sarah really doesn't care about how much power it truly has. Bast works fantastic with cards like Brood as well, offering you extra stats across multiple bodies, and just works great with so many of the 0 and 1 power cards this deck has to offer. My favourite thing about this deck is that it's never ever correct to play Bast on turn number 1, because there is no card you can draw that will punish you for holding on and trying to get that additional bit of value. So if it's me, always try and hold your Bast until turn 2 if it's in your opening hand, to set up those plays as you go along. Mysterio is another one of those cards that is kind of a bit of the glue from every single play package. It's great on rate, just offering you 4 power on a body, but it works really well with Bast, letting you have this kind of miniature Doctor Doom effect. The illusions get buffed by your Patriot and your Mystique, and it also plays very, very well with Bishop, another card that we're playing in this deck by triggering it multiple times when it comes into play. A lot of the skill with Mysterio in this deck is figuring out whether or not you want to play it on turn 2 or 3 for tempo reasons, to get more bodies in play for Patriot or Mystique, or whether you're better off holding it to wait for your Bast or Bishop if you're expecting them to turn up over the course of a game. Planning out your turns ahead of time can really help with this, and it leads to a lot of very interesting skill testing decisions in this kind of little package built into this deck. Mystique is one of the easier cards to explain. Unsurprisingly, this is just a extra copy of your Patriot, of your Blue Marvel. Most of the time, you just want extra copies that affect on another body. Mystique is very, very good at doing that. Keep your eyes open for spots where you can tempo this out, though, if you don't have a target for it necessarily, and you're not doing an awful lot else, because sometimes the extra body being in play to buff with Silver Surfer really can go quite a long way. Next up, we've got Bishop. Bishop is one of the two flex slots in this deck, in my opinion, but at the moment, it is kind of best in slot. For me, I think it's either Bishop or Cosmo in this slot, with Cosmo getting the nod if you find yourself wanting an extra tool against decks like Taskmaster decks, or even Galactus, if that's another thing you really want another tool to play back against. Bishop, however, really can just get into Shang-Chi range with this deck and provides you an awful lot of stats for not that much investment. It plays really well with Mysterio, Sarah offering you many cheap cards on the final turns of the game, and of course it's another card to buff with Silver Surfer that we're happy to play proactively on turn number 3, something that's quite important for some of our 3-cost cards, given that Mystique and Silver Surfer are never cards we want to play on curve. Patriot is another one that's quite simple to explain. We are built around this card fundamentally. We're looking to use its ability to buff up a number of cards we generate that don't have any natural abilities. It also happens to find itself as a Silver Surfer target, meaning it can actually steal you some lanes by itself if your opponent isn't paying close attention. Brood has always been an all-star in these shells and was kind of what held the Patriot Surfer decks of old together. Another 3-cost card that provides so many bodies for your Silver Surfer to buff, while providing you with 2 more bodies that can be buffed by Patriot and Mystique alike. Kind of just does everything this deck wants to do, and also plays really well with Bast and can offer you extra power that way as well. So keep your eyes open for ways to pull those synergies off with a card like Brood. Silver Surfer is kind of one of my favourite aspects of this deck. Not only is it one of my favourite cards in the game, but this deck is so good at playing multiple axes and surprising your opponent on turn 6 with so many possible play patterns. And Silver Surfer is part of that. It allows you to just add a chunk of extra stats to your board on the final couple turns of the game. Really important to note, you can circumvent Leech with this deck by playing turns like Mysterio plus Silver Surfer on turn 5 to make sure that power boost isn't being taken away from you, and often letting the rest of the cards in your hand be nuked to be buffed by your already in play Patriot, so keep your eyes open for opportunities to abuse those kinds of play patterns. Debris is honestly a truly exceptional card in this strategy. Not only does it do everything you want a card to do, but it single-handedly gives us game into our worst matchup in Marvel Snap. It's a 3-cost card that we can buff with Silver Surfer. It provides us with rocks that get buffed by Patriot and Mystique, but most of all, it is our tool against Galactus as a way to ship rocks into those lanes they were hoping to save to play their Galactus later on. That matchup is really bad without a card like Debris, unsurprising for decks that are trying to go wide, who are normally pretty bad against a card like Galactus. Debris is what gives us the breathing room to not have to retreat when our opponent gets cheeky with a snap after playing their wave. Blue Marvel is the second flex slot in my opinion, but I'm coming around to this one being a bit non-negotiable. You need another ongoing effect to double up with your copy of Mystique if you don't find Patriot, and Blue Marvel really does shine in a deck where you're going quite as wide as we are in this one, so keep your eyes open for that as well. It's just a fantastic play on turn 5, or can often be paired with a 3-cost card on turn 6 thanks to Sarah. Valkyrie is an all-star in this strategy, basically because it wins lanes all by itself. We're a Blue Marvel Patriot Mystique deck. It's really easy for us to just break parity of Valkyrie's effect by buffing our cards with our other Anthem effects. More importantly, we're really good with Wasp here as well as another way to sneak an extra body into a lane and maybe steal away a lane our opponent didn't think we could win off the back of Valkyrie. This card is mostly here for Shuri Zero. We need a way of interacting with 26 power Red Skulls, and Valkyrie is our best way of doing it. If you find yourself needing a replacement for this card though, you're more than welcome to play Shang-Chi for that exact reason. Just keep in mind you will be a little more sad when armor is in play. Last but not least, we've got Sarah in this strategy, and this is kind of what offers you that endgame flexibility in this deck and opens up so many lines of play. We can play 3-cost cards on the final turn of the game and hide our Patriot, our Mystique, and our Surfer until the end and just provide a massive stat dump. Alternatively, we can take other lines of play with this deck. We can hold Debris plus Patriot plus Mystique, and not necessarily make our opponent aware of how wide we're going to go. Maybe we want to play Blue Marvel plus Silver Surfer, Blue Marvel plus Patriot, Valkyrie plus Silver Surfer, Valkyrie plus Debris. There are all kinds of final turn plays enabled by a card like Serra, which gives us so much flexibility about how we want to attack our opponents on that final turn. I'm really proud of this deck, and I'm glad the results have been coming in from people all across the multiverse. But let me know what you think. Are you interested in picking this one up yourself and seeing if you can have similar results? And do you think we truly do have a metagame contender on our hands? Leave a comment for me down below and let me know what you're thinking. Make sure you subscribe while you're down there so you're not missing out on the content here every day at Marvel Snap Zone. And drop a like on the video if you enjoyed this style of deck tech. Until next time, I've been HowlingMines, you've been amazing. Let's head into the gameplay with Bast Patriot Surfer. Opening hand is kind of fine, to be honest. Hands like this aren't particularly exemplary. You're not looking at an early Bast or Mysterio, but you do have a proactive 3. You do have access to Serra and Surfer already. So there's definitely pros and cons to a hand like this. You're kind of fine to see some of your important cards, especially as they get discarded by Sokovia, but you know, obviously if you get like leeched or something, it's significantly worse for you. So looks like Shuri 0 on the other side, a deck we can kind of expect to see plenty of. Opponent lost their Red Skull to Sokovia. We are down a Serra, which is definitely a bit unfortunate. So truth be told, this hand here is really looking for Mysterio. It's looking for a way to make some bodies to go alongside the Surfer. The Bast is certainly interesting here. Okay. Part of me thinks I might be in a world where I have Valkyrie on 5. Doesn't seem impossible. The question is if I think I'm getting more value out of Mystique than I am just playing it right now, and the truth is I'm probably not. I would rather have this in play to get Surfer buffed, because at the moment I don't have a target for our goodies. Well, for the Mystique specifically. Okay. So now we're in a position where we probably have to Valkyrie on turn 6. Opponent's going to snap, which is fine, because this Cosmo doesn't exist, so we can... The key here is to make sure that we don't have reveal priority, so that we can Valkyrie. Which is slightly problematic, because I kind of wanted to stuff Surfer into Bar Sinister. But I think it's wrong to do, so let's try and be good. Took the pass. Okay. So, we don't have reveal priority, so we should be okay here, right? All we need to do is go Wasp over here, Valkyrie into Shuri's lab, and we should be a-okay. Because this 288 power She-Hulk doesn't matter. It's really tempting to jam Surfer there, but the Surfer stats aren't what's going to win you this game. It's Valkyrie shutting down this lane, Wasp winning the other lane. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful game. Perfect example of what a card like Valkyrie or like Shang-Chi is capable of doing for you in this matchup. So really tempting to jam the Surfer there. Paid off by the fact that we recognize the fact it's just not right to. Really good stuff. A pretty mediocre opening hand here. The Nexus. Okay. The Nexus can be a very good and a very bad location for us. We do have the tools to kind of circumvent it with things like Patriot, Blue Marvel, Valkyrie. But it can definitely get a bit dicey if we can't find those cards. We do find the Marvel. I'm skeptical to Mysterio here, to be honest. This might be okay. I think I'm going to be patient on this for now. The Nexus makes a lot of this very difficult, especially when a location like the Bifrost flips over. So now I can get things into Sanctum Sanctorium. So I think we do this now. Opponent with the Cosmo, you got it. We find the Bast. Weird game. Weird game. So looking for Patriot, looking for Surfer, looking for Mystique, arguably, too. We do find the Mystique. So I'm fairly certain we do this. Maybe we're looking for the Valkyrie, to be honest. The Valk might be the real secret source. Okay, looks like we need a Valkyrie. We do not find a Valkyrie. Oh, this kind of sucks. And this is kind of my problem with the Nexus, as they say. Sometimes you don't find the tools you need to really thrive in it. Like, I can make this wasp really big, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is probably not enough. So best I can do is go like this. Yeah, why am I playing this game? Alright, I underestimated myself. You know what, I'll leave that in the video, because I think it's fair to be embarrassed sometimes that you underestimate yourself. Just because we weren't winning the Nexus doesn't mean we weren't winning that game. I underestimated the fact this is 14 power being added here in the form of an illusion. So we added 15, 7, 14, 15, 17 power here. Which ended up being enough to win these other two uncontested lanes, because there are just other bodies here, regardless of whether the fact we lose the Nexus. So, a little embarrassing to have underestimated myself there. But goes to show you. This hand is about as bad as they get. He says, before hitting Elysium. Okay. Now we have a little more play. Opponent appears to be yet another Shuri Zero opponent, which is a bit unfortunate. Do I have time to wait for this Bast? I think I probably do. It's worth quite a lot on Sinister London. Opponent's deck looking all gold and shiny and stuff. Definitely a deck they play pretty often by the looks of it. So we're going to go Bishop mid. There's the Shuri, so we're going to need the Valkyrie. Gonna need the Valkyrie. We don't find it. Do I ever just double debris? I think I do. I mean, Valkyrie is now the only win con. 25%. Take the pass. Okay. Does that get us there? I think it does. I think this wins us the game. That's crazy. Valkyrie, you're insane. Yeah? My opponent didn't think they could lose this, did they? They did not see a world. I guess they expected Shang-Chi was possible. Good lord, Valkyrie, what a card. What a card, dude. Absolutely going to town. A good opening hand, some good things to buff with our Bast. We even find the Mysterio for extra flavor. Certainly not going to complain about that. So this is definitely one of the games where you'd love to draw Sarah. Sarah will give you a lot more flexibility going into turn 6, assuming we're not getting leeched or anything. Comatage! We get another location that's really good for us. Because of debris, because of Silver Surfer, all kinds of goodies. This might be snap-worthy. Yeah, okay. Alright. Opponent will Space Stone mid. Draw some cards. Seems good. Alright, let's fill up their space. I'm all about filling up their space. Strange Academy, even better. So, ooh, double debris. Throw the rocks around. We find the Surfer. We got all kinds of goodies. So, we really do want to draw the Sarah here, because Sarah sets us up to do all of the nonsense. Otherwise, we'll do what we can with the energy we have. Opponent with the Lockjaw. We're going to be making your Lockjaw quite sad, friend. Have you considered gaining rocks instead? I guess we'd like 2 Patriots. Please and thank you. If you don't mind, I'm not fussy. Now the thing is, Strange Academy might price us into playing our Surfer early here. If we want to get double Surfer, but I think that's probably not necessarily. I think we'd rather just Mystique. Well, Psylocke double up, sends back in the Time Stone. Feel like we're in pretty good shape here. If we get leeched, we're not going to care. Like, we're just going to go make another Patriot. And pass. Yeah. And then we have space to go Bishop Wasp Silver Surfer on the final turn, and we should just be in glorious, glorious shape. Didn't even need the Sarah this time to get it all played out. Stuffed our opponent's ball with the rocks and put them in a box. It's kind of great. Professor X, huh? Curious. Yeah, I mean, this is now just Wasp Surfer instead, because the Wasp is huge. Yeah, okay. Goodbye! Wow. That was a stuff-in-a-box style game. Good night, Thanos. Good night. Overall, I'm very proud of the work we did on this deck to put it together. As you'll have seen through the selection of games that we showed overall, every card kind of has its place. Every card fits. Every card does something very powerful. I think the flex spots for me at the moment, kind of mentioned it in the intro, but you can play Shang instead of Valkyrie, but I do think she's a fair bit better. There's a good chance that Bishop should be Cosmo if you don't feel like the stats matter so much and that you're going plenty wide. And I can see Blue Marvel being something else, but I also think that has to be an ongoing effect for Mystique, and I think Blue Marvel is the best of your options in that slot for now. So, really happy with where this ended up. Really, just incredible combination of engines, and I think this is one I'll be playing a lot more going forward. It's quite easily one of my favourite decks I've ever built, and hopefully it continues to put up results for you too. Well worth checking out if you haven't done so already and you've got the cards to do so. But if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing to the channel here at Marvel Snap Zone so I can keep making fantastic Marvel Snap content for you. But until next time, I've been HowlingMines. You've been amazing. Take care of yourself. Have a good one.